For example, when we associate with the external world and external things, and we have to free from the psychological world, and we mix the external world and in the internal problem in a joint manner. So first of all we have to understand how we can free psychologically, not give importance to the external world. For example, we have a car or some bike, and we place the bike or car in front of our house, and somebody has stolen the car, and we got some grief and some sorrow in our mind. So, but at the same time, we have to do something to trace out the stolen property. So we have to do something externally also. Psychologically also we have to be free from sorrow. But externally also we have to do something in the... For example, if instead of this example, in one fine morning, some thunderbolt has happened upon the car and it completely destroyed. So you need not, we cannot get back the car. However we try, we cannot get back the car. So externally we have no work. Psychological problem alone is there. So here the problem is only single. It is not a double problem, single problem. So it is purely related to the psychological, not related to the external thing. So here you have to, first of all, you have to find out how you can solve the problem psychologically. So here you have psychological problem alone. So when you understand how you can psychologically deal with the problem of sorrow, that means you have nothing to do with that. So when you totally accept the sorrow, totally, that means when you are able to free from yourself psychologically, then only you can have then you will have the understanding that the operation, you can understand the operating system of your understanding. So thereby, even though you understand you have no work, but when you apply your understanding in the situation, and thereby you understand how you can behave with your sorrow, how you can behave with your problem. So if you understand how you can behave psychologically, then you can, in that mind, you can you can apply the same thing to the external world also, where you can do the necessary thing, but psychologically you must be free. Here the main problem is that each and every problem, each and every situation, you recognize something only through our thought. For example, I see a chair. Even though I see a chair, I have to recognize this is a chair. So only at the stage of recognition, I can identify something. Otherwise, if there is no recognition, I cannot understand this is a chair. So the understanding and recognition is possible only through our thought. Thought alone recognizes this chair. What is the nature of the thought? The thought divides you and the chair. So then only you can identify, and the thought says this is a chair according to you. So it implies yourself, your personality also. So whenever we see something, I see the object according to me. So some duality is there. The observer, the thought shows you as the observer, and the thing as the observed. So that is the nature of the thought. So each and every moment the thought operates, and through our thought we identify the things. And there is a duality. But this duality is necessary to deal with the external things. So if you are unable to distinguish yourself from the object, you cannot transact with the object. So if you understand you are a separate personal and you have to go away from, you have to occupy the chair, then only you can go and occupy the chair. But if you are unable to separate yourself, you cannot act. So the separation is necessary in the external world. But we apply the same thing in the psychological world also. So in the psychological world, we take cognizance of everything only with the help of our thought. And the thought recognizes I am having sorrow, I am having problem, I am having the, so the same thing happens. But in the external world, the division between you and the object is essential. Otherwise, you cannot act. But in the psychological world, the division between you and the experience is alone creates problem. So actually, it is only an artificial creation. Actually, so one experience is there. Thing may be different, but the experience is one. It is created by our thought. So whatever created by thought it is a single experience. Each and every moment, some single experience is there. So our thought creates a single experience. In that single experience, we feel yourself as a separate entity, and we have some feeling. So actually, there is no separation, but we think that some separation is there. For example, whenever you are in the dream, the dream is nothing but our thought. Whenever we are in sleep, even in sleep we have some thought. The thought takes the form of a dream. So in the dream, you feel that you are doing many things, you go many places, you meet many persons. But actually, each and every situation is only created by only single thought. There is no personal, there is no you, there is no other persons, there is no situations. But everything is created by a single thought. So in this way, in the waking hours also, we have the same thing. Single thought alone creates something. So the single thought alone says that you are somebody and you have some feeling of fear or anger or anything. Thereby, you take the responsibility to solve anything. But actually, when you do not take any responsibility to solve anything psychologically, so each and every moment, new thought alone can come. Because within a second, that is thoughts coming. So the duration of each and every thought is 1/30. So it is very limited. So moment by moment, new thought alone can come. So we need not eliminate anything. So it is in the flowing state. We need not work psychologically. But we can make use of all the mechanism in the external world. We can consider ourselves as somebody, and we can consider the object as an object, and thereby we can act. But if we apply the same rule to the psychological world, it creates problem. So here, giving freedom to the experience, not only meaning to the experience alone, it includes the experiencer also. The experience also is a kind of experience. So we think the experience has to eliminate the experience, the experiencer has to free from experience, is not correct. So the experiencer also can be considered, must be considered as one of the experiences. So no experience is not necessary we should not assume any responsibility, we should not place any personality to deal with the other thing. So the total thing must be taken as an experience. So as all experiences goes, the experiential also goes. So that when you do not do anything psychologically, so each and every moment new thought alone can come. So the new personality alone can come, new situation alone can come. So that is the natural thing. So only thing is that we have some link within the memory, and we have a link to the older person is the newer person is the future person. Thereby we are giving some link. Thereby we perpetuate some personality. Actually, there is no permanent personality in ourselves. So as there is no permanency in any experience, because the experiencer is also an experience. So everything is in the flow. So when we do something, when we want something, thereby we perpetuate the experiencer. Actually, the perpetuation of the experiencer alone is the problem. So we have to treat him as an experience. Of the other experience, the experiencer also an experience. So we have to understand, no work is needed. Even though whatever you may do psychologically, you may have some struggle, so let it be unconscious. Don't try to do it consciously. So consciously you should not have any responsibility to correct anything. So we have to give total freedom to the experience, also to the experiencer also. So the freedom alone must be the only thing. So there must be total freedom. Whatever comes, we have to give total freedom to that. Whether it may take the form of the experience or it may take the form of the experiencer, there should not be any distinction between the two. We have to give total freedom to that. As we give freedom to the experience, we have to give freedom to the experiencer also. That means we should not have any responsibility, we should not give any responsibility to the experiencer. No doer. The doer may be...
Then who is seeking?
Who is?
Seeking. Who is...
So the seeking, we have to understand. So if you, seeking may happen, the seeking, the thinking may happen, but we have to understand this is a mistaken happening. So if you understand something is happening mistaken way, then you have to understand everything is in the false way, it is in the wrong way. When you understand that something is going on wrong, then you do not do anything. So when you have the idea that you have to do something, when you have to correct everything, then you take the responsibility to correct anything, then only the doer becomes powerful. So when you understand now no responsibility is there, everything goes on its own, it may be wrong, but we have no connection for ourselves, no responsibility for ourselves, because it happens on its own. So whatever comes on its own, and we have not created. When we think we have not created anything, we need not take any responsibility for that. So the understanding has to operate.
Where does thought come?
So thought is a natural process. If you do not have any thought, there is we cannot function. So thought is a necessary factor. Without thought, nothing is possible. Even we think sleep is not a thought, but even sleep is a kind of thought. So everything is a thought. So without thought, nothing is possible. So thought is the operating system of our mind. So when the thought is the functioning mind. The mind functions through our thought. So we cannot imagine a state without mind, without thought.
Thought is the very thing that there is thought, there has to be duality. So unless we transcend possibility of transcending duality.
So here the process is that the understanding is the thing. If you understand, you are unnecessarily taking...
But that means understanding without experience, no? The experience is an intellectual understanding. All that you say, actually I intellectually understand. Read or whatever, there are enough sources to help me understand this. Unless I have it as an experience, the understanding, I have to remind myself intellectually what I have right now. But I have to constantly keep reminding through me as an experience.
Understanding, in the word of understanding means, we have some idea, not the experience. All experiences, through our experience, we have the knowledge only through experiences. We have many experiences and we name the experiences, give some word, give some name to all experiences, and thereby we form some opinion, we form some idea. So the understanding means it is a kind of conclusion. We come to a conclusion or come to an understanding or come to an idea. So some experience may be behind the understanding, but we convert the experience as an idea. And here our idea and our opinion says that we have no work. So we have to come to the conclusion that no work is necessary. So whenever we understand that no work is necessary, then the understanding will operate. So if you try to execute the understanding, then you are rejecting the understanding itself. So here there is no necessity to execute our understanding. The understanding has to work. It itself will act. But here, in the external world, we have to execute our understanding. Because we may have a conclusion, we may think like something, and we have to execute like that. But in this psychological world, we understand that we have no work. And before you come to the understanding, you have to inquire. You have to verify all your experiences, all the opinions and everything, all the possibilities. And afterwards alone, we come to a conclusion, our work alone creates problem. When you understand your work alone is the problem, your doing alone is the problem, then you will not work. So because you understand all doing, all work creates more problem. So when you think like that, when you come to a conclusion like this, the understanding will operate. But if you, in spite of this understanding, if you have any struggle within yourself, you have to take it as an unconscious happening. You should not do it. But the main thing is that whatever happens in your mind, let it happen in the unconscious state, unconscious way. But don't do it consciously. So because you understand, if you want to execute, if you want to work something, then you have to change your opinion also. Before you enter into a conscious work, you have to change your mind. So you have to change your mind that you have some work. Unless you come to a conclusion that you have some work, you will not work.
Yeah.
So but at the same time, unconsciously you may have some work. Conscious work cannot be accounted. You need not take it to the account. But consciously, if you do not struggle with yourself, the unconscious struggle will go away very soon. The main thing is that we should not do it consciously.
The psychological understanding, actually reflects in the external world. That's where problems come. So when created by thought, my what understanding comes, it affects the other person.
But the external world is concerned, you have to do. You have to take some responsibility. How
but
you have to.
Understanding cannot be just psychological, and I cannot behave different. I cannot go in and on, off and on, off and on.
The external world is concerned, there is action. Psychological world is concerned, only reaction. That is a happening. There is no doing. Each and every moment we may have some feeling, some reaction. All is a reaction. It is not an action. You have not created any reaction. It comes naturally. So whatever comes naturally in your mind is the psychological world, for which you do not have any duty. But in the external world, everything is related to some action. You have to do something. The external world is not a reaction. The external world is action. So you have to do something. You have to think. You have to plan, and you have to execute the
How does
action.
one have a balance between these? First, these are two contradictory states. Because one is of not doing, the other is of doing. One is of action, the other is of reaction. There are two different worlds, and both are the same being, no?
So here you have to execute your doing only through your mind. Without the mind, nothing is possible. If you use your thinking and planning, it is happening through your mind. So if it is related to the external world, you have to use your mind. But you should not use your mind against the mind. That is different. So the thought is different and thinking is different. Thought happens naturally. But thinking is yours. You have to think. The thinking may be related to the external world. But the thinking should not be related against the thought. So if you think this thought should not come to me, so that is against yourself.
Thinking itself pre-programmed.
Thinking?
Is the thinking itself, is it pre-programmed?
So pre-programmed means thought is the pre-programmed. But thinking is ours. We have to think like something.
Okay, the thought gives you this reaction, and the thought is coming from somewhere else, I have no control. It's pre-programmed. And the thought creates an action.
The thought has not created action, but whenever it creates action, we convert the thought into thinking. Then only it creates action. But thinking means some conscious application. But thought related the unconscious happening. Thought is always happening. But thinking is not happening. Thinking is a creation. You are consciously doing something.
So the thinking is is it pre-programmed or is it one's control?
So pre-planned.
Because if it's one's control, then it's again doership.
Doership. So the doership can be applied in the external world. So you can use our thinking related to the external world. But we should not use our thinking against the thought. So if you use our thinking against the thought, this thought must come, this thought will not come, that means thought is not under our control. But we assume the thought is under our control. But it is not our control. But we can think like that. It may be under our control, it must be under our control. We can think like that. But thinking, by thinking like this, that we are creating problem within ourselves. But we can think with related to the external world. Without thinking, no work is possible. The external world is concerned, we have to use our thinking and we have to use our mind. Here, even though thinking belongs to the psychological world, but when it is related to the external world, it can be considered as the external one. It cannot be as a psychological. The thought alone is the psychological factor. But here, The thinking related to the thought, that is the problem. Understanding?